Mic check 1 2 1 2. We back in the building. It's your boy Coach K. You know what time it is. And here's a new episode of the First Five Podcast, season number 4, episode 16. We sit down with Allison Russell and we talk about her coaching, we talk about her training, we talk about her background, we discuss a whole plethora of things as you see when we get into the video. This is only part 1. This episode is actually going to be split into 2 parts, so stay tuned for part 2 that we'll be launching at the end of this week. But for now, we give you part 1. Enjoy. And today is a great day, because every day above ground is a great day. I want to salute all the listeners and supporters who continue to rock with us each and every week. We try our best to deliver the best information as possible and to make episodes as fun as possible, enjoyable as possible, and always leave you with gems that can get you rich in more ways than one. As you know, the First Five is designed to motivate, inspire, empower, encourage, energize, and educate you, the listener, to do better, choose better, move better, and move better, one step, one rep, and one breath at a time. I'm feeling in my pocket for a second. I just realized I left some vitamins in my pocket. This is so random, most random thing, I swear. Anyways, this is how things go. Sometimes it goes super random. As you know, in the famed words of the late great Tupac Shakur, there's no way I could pay you back. The plan is to show you that I understand. All listeners are appreciated. We appreciate all of you guys who tune in and check us out every week. Another great reason that today is a great day is we have a lovely guest with us today. Her name is Allison Russell. You might know her as the Love Body Coach, and she's here to talk about love, talk about her body, and talk about coaching, and talk about everything else in between. Welcome, Allison. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
Of course, of course. Now, we first met at a lifting competition.
Yeah.
And you were a judge.
I was.
And I said, I think this girl wishes she was in the competition.
Kind of did halfway through, yeah.
And she was like, yeah, but I gotta officiate and stuff. And then we got into conversation, we got to talking, and then we started following each other on Instagram. And obviously I saw what you brought to the table as far as your content and your message. Tell us, how did you get started in fitness altogether? What brought you to the table in this regard?
Oh, God, I think it started, might be 6 or 7 years ago now. And it started because I was pretty out of shape. Mm-hmm. I started realizing I was having a lot of movement issues. I remember this key moment where I was at my parents' and I was sitting down and I bent over to tie my shoes. Mm-hmm. And I was super out of breath. I had to take a break in between.
That's the worst.
Yeah. So, I had tried many times to lose weight through my 20s. Right. And this time I decided to hire a trainer. And my goal was really just no scale. I'm not even going to think about weight loss. I'm just going to work on getting stronger, getting better cardio. And so I hired this great trainer and I started training 2-3 times a week. And I fell in love with fitness. And I grew up figure skating, mm-hmm. but around CEGEP I stopped. And I worked at a gym. I worked at the Y and I never used the gym. So I think I hadn't really had any activity for about 10 years. Okay. And I started working out, loved it, got into better shape. I lost, I think, around 100 pounds. Again, I didn't weigh myself a lot, but that was roughly what I lost. And then I realized, it took me so long to kind of get to this place. Why don't I help other women who are struggling with the same issues that I was get into shape as well? And so that's when I took my personal training certification through the Y. And then I've taken a bunch of certifications since. And yeah, I think that was about 6-7 years ago, and I've been a trainer for 5 years now. Okay, so awesome. Yeah, awesome. That's really how it started.
Awesome, and you're seeing great success obviously with that because you have a good number of followers and the information. I love the stuff that you share. You running outside, your yoga sessions sometimes that you do, different tips and suggestions. There's one in particular post that you had that I'm going to tap into in a second, not yet, because I want you to break down a bit more in detail what exactly your message you're delivering. I understood what it was, but if you guys haven't had a chance to check it out, you'll get a chance to check it out because I'll be making sure to put her information into the links. If you guys are watching this on Spotify or on YouTube, you'll be able to get her information as well, for sure. Now, in your description, you're a size inclusive specialist. Mm-hmm. What exactly is that?
So I took a certification, I think it was 2 years ago, with Louise Green. So she's one of the leaders in size inclusivity in Canada. She writes for Shape Magazine. That certification recently became also ACE certified. So I believe it was it was a 2-day course, which you can now take, I think self-paced as well. She's really great. You should definitely check her out. And so it's basically size inclusivity is the idea that we need to make not only fitness spaces, but fitness professionals more inclusive in understanding the lived experience of people living in larger bodies. Mm-hmm. Not only how their bodies move, but how certain fitness lingo might impact them, and like what is their history with fitness. So for example, that's something I do a lot in my intakes with clients is,
Right.
have you had negative experiences with fitness in gyms, with trainers? What was that like? What kept you from working out for so long? And really making sure that that's always like present in mind in sessions, almost before anything else. Like, what is your history with fitness, positive or negative, and how is that impacting how you move or how maybe you haven't moved in the last few years? So that course really goes into things like weight bias and stigma, fitness idealism, and how do you modify exercises for people in larger bodies? Because I definitely think that's something missing from a lot of the certifications.
Yeah.
You kind of are trained to go out and train like the average individual with an already average fitness level, but
Right.
that's not the majority of people that you're training.
Right.
And so how do you make those adjustments for somebody with, a belly abundance or a woman with larger breasts, and what positions might be uncomfortable for them?
Right. Yeah.
That way you're making a positive experience, and if they have a positive experience, they'll train long term, and that's always my goal. So it's delving into a lot of those stereotypes.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, because I have recently, maybe you feel the same way too, recently recognized that nowadays certain body types are being celebrated more. Acknowledgement of certain body types is more accepted, but also to the emphasis of being a particular shape, size, structure is not what it used to be before. Now it's adjusted a lot. Obviously now, 14 years later, it must be totally different.
Yeah.
Just like when a person does a program like Weight Watchers, for example, it must be totally different than it was before. When I did it like years ago compared to now, it's a whole different structure. So things continue to change. What have you recognized in the last 5 years that has changed with a course that you take, the certification that you've taken? What sort of adjustments have you seen happen in the industry thus far?
I mean, I'm definitely seeing more size inclusivity. So you are seeing a variety of sizes and things like magazines, even clothing lines are becoming inclusive. Like Nike, for example, that was like a huge story when Nike put a plus size mannequin in their flagship store in London. Like that wasn't something you saw before, right? So how I felt growing up, everybody's telling me like, lose weight, work out, but I can't get fitness clothes, right? Nothing goes above like a size large or XL. So that's changing a lot. There's just more representation and this idea that you don't have to look a certain way to have a level of fitness.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to be stick thin.
Yeah.
But you're still seeing this trend. Like I always find it ironic that like, how is a body a trend? Like this is the shape that's in, this is how, right? If you go through time, it's constantly changing. So it's like, forget that. Like what is your level of fitness? Like that should always be the priority versus now it's like you want to have this size and you want your butt to be this big and now it's this big and you're like, I definitely see there's more representation. And I think that's positive because if you are somebody in a larger body and every time you see a fitness magazine or you walk into a gym and all you ever see are thin people, you feel like you don't belong or fit in.
Right.
Or you're constantly seen as like a before and after photo. So like your current body is not worthy, but it will be worthy when it gets to here.
Right.
And so I feel like that has become less and less. Like less trainers are using before and after photos as like their business card.
Yeah.
And there's just a wider variety of trainers and there's a lot more size inclusive. I also just took Jamali Frazier has a size inclusive kettlebell course. And again, how do you adjust kettlebell training for people with different body shapes? Because your body shape is going to impact how you're moving that kettlebell around you,
true.
right?
Very true. Yeah.
So there's a lot more options available, which I'm happy about.
Do you think then that lends the opportunity for a person who is of a certain body shape to then not, because there's often the debate of, well, that's just not healthy if you're a certain if you're a certain shape. Do you feel that it could possibly lend that sort of way of thinking to think like, okay, well then if I'm this shape, then I could stay this way and I'm cool because there's now inclusivity of different body shapes.
I mean, that's always the argument, but again, I never like that argument because again, for example, there was, I can't remember her name. She's a larger bodied woman. She was on the cover of Cosmopolitan. She's a yoga instructor, and people were outraged by it. But at the same time, you like tell people in larger bodies, we want you to exercise. But then when we show people in larger bodies exercising,
People get mad.
it's like, but
Well,
it's
something like-
unhealthy. But I
yeah.
thought if it's health related, shouldn't you be happy she's moving?
For sure.
Right? Like you are outraged about the plus size Nike mannequin, but don't you want me to have, or us, whatever, larger bodied women to have workout clothes so they can work out? So like at that point I start wondering like, is it the health you're concerned about, or are we starting to get into like a fat phobic kind of territory?
Right.
I don't think anybody is saying like, yeah, go be 450 pounds. It's perfectly healthy. But also come on, if you give every single client you have the same nutrition program, the same workout program, are they all going to be the same size?
same
Of
size.
course
No,
not.
true.
So I
Very
think
true.
there is a variety. So I think, yeah, I know that's the argument. I see it a lot, and I've gotten the same pushback with my approach to fitness. But my priority always is, are the people I'm working with, do they have a positive relationship with movement, and are they moving consistently throughout their week more than they did before? Are they seeing strength gains? Are they seeing gains like, I had a hard time getting up off the floor when I was playing with my kid, and now I could get up off the floor easily. My resting heart rate has gone down. Like, to me, those are all great measures.
Right.
And so I don't want to dissuade any of those. Some of my clients have lost a lot of weight. Some they haven't lost weight, but their quality of life has improved.
Right.
And so to me, if it's about health, then
That's
all
the
those
most
other
important
health
thing.
markers are super important.
Gotcha. There are parameters or certain markers and measures that need to be considered. I mean, for example, I do evaluations with my clients, but I make sure that they're not centered. Their focus is not centered on numbers. The number on the scale, because everyone goes, oh, the weight says this, and then I'm this much percent because according to this scale, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I always have to show them when I do an evaluation, your weight is just the price of your house, basically.
Yeah.
But it's what the assets and liabilities. So like your lean mass weight, are you building? Is that what we're doing helping you to build that? Is what we're doing also contributing to maybe like fat loss, because there's nothing wrong with that. Your water intake, bone density, things like that, all these things have to be considered.
Of course, yeah.
But of course, using the markers like you're mentioning about like strength gains and are you able to do this now? Are you able to get up off your couch without feeling in pain? Are you able to bend over in tire shoes and not be out of breath?
Exactly.
Climb a flight of stairs. All these things I think should be markers or indicators of health and wellness. But of course, I think we're still so very far away. What do you think would have to change to make that?
Oh, God, that's a good question. I feel like if I knew the answer to that question, I would be rich. I think like everything else, people need to be a little bit more open. I think at the same time, sometimes the way people talk, it's like everybody's health isn't necessarily your business. And so, somebody else's health goals aren't going to be your health goals. Like, not everybody is going to be the person who gets up at 5 a.m. Like I see you and I get up early. That's not going to be everybody's goal, right? Yeah. And a lot of the women that I work with, their goal is they know that movement is important. They know it's good for their health. They know it's good to model for their children. They want to be healthy to keep up with their kids and their careers and everything they have going on. But they need fitness to fit into their life rather than fitting their life around fitness.
Right.
And so my approach has always been, I want you to move more. Not everybody's going to get up at 5 a.m. and go for a run and have an hour or whatever. This fitness thing that I hate. Everybody's the same 24 hours in the day. Completely untrue. Every woman I work with mostly have multiple children, have these big careers, driving downtown, don't work from home. I have a far easier day than I don't have kids. Yeah. I work from home. I have far less obstacles to do my hour and a half workout. It's not the reality. So if, 3 times a week, 30 minutes, hey, you're fitting it into your life and you're modeling for your children and that's your goal, I think that is better than nothing. Because I see it all the time. Most of my clients, because again, I told you before, I do ask, what is your history with fitness? Have you had any negative experiences? And I mean, I've seen horror stories of women who, this one story I remember, she bought a pack of 10 sessions with a trainer.
Yeah.
And there were certain exercises she was uncomfortable. She had larger breasts and like, forearm plank, they were like in the way. And she made a comment that, is there something else? Trainer's like, no, you have to do this exercise. She finished her 10 sessions. She never went back. She didn't work out for 3 years until she found me.
Yeah.
It's like, modify that exercise, put her up on a bench, elevate it. There's other ways, like what you have to do that, right? Because this is like the best exercise to do, but it doesn't feel good in her body. And what, have you helped her? No,
Yeah.
She didn't work out for 3 years after that.
Wow.
I had this other story. This one is one of my least favorite.
Oh boy.
A woman again goes to a trainer, starts training. Maybe she's been training for 3-4 weeks, and she had an illness in her family, and so she had to take 2-3 weeks off. And when she came back, the trainer said to her, "Oh, I'm surprised you came back. Normally people like you, once they take a break when they already started, don't come back." What do people like you mean? Like, so if health is everybody's main concern, and when I think health, I think physical and mental health. Like, what do you think a comment like that did to that woman, right?
I'm gonna say this for everyone listening, everyone in the back, pay attention. Okay? If you are a fitness professional, okay, if you're a human being, but let's just use fitness professional because that's what we are, okay? Number one advice I can give you: never, ever, ever say to somebody something like that.
Yeah.
I thought though, usually people like you, man, oh man, you want to go like, you want to lose your business, go right ahead. And I understand that some people, not to cut you off, but some people, they enjoy the kind of like, I need a person to be rough on me.
100%.
And I have said to clients, guys, listen, you don't want me to be rough on you because I know what I can say.
Yeah.
And you will never step foot in this gym ever again. You'll never step outside of your house. Everyone should just know that this should be common sense. Well,
it should be, but the amount of story, I mean, I'm just at the top of the barrel with those two. Like I had another woman, she went to a group fitness class, and she was a little bit tired. She goes, "You know what? I gotta go. I can't make an excuse. I'm gonna go in the back. I'm gonna do what I can."
Yeah.
Right? Not every workout you feel great, right? Sometimes it's not, that's fine. And the instructor says, "Hey, are you gonna be joining us today?" Because she was like, she never went back to the class. Like, I get that, yes, some people want the boot camp experience, it's fine, but not everybody does. Like, a woman who's working 40 hours with 3 kids, she just, give me a workout that I can enjoy, that fits into my life, and makes me feel better. And that's okay, too. That's what I mean by there needs to be more variety, right? Not every workout needs to be a boot camp style. Not everybody wants that.
Yeah.
But if we care about health, giving people inclusive options, to me, is the best approach.
Consultations with clients.
Yeah.
You meet with them. What's often the first concern that you might have to address with them?
Normally, the first concern is that they're worried the workout is going to be beyond their current capacity. Okay. So that's what they're worried about. They're worried that I'm going to give them burpees or pull-ups or something on the first day. That tends to be the concern.
Yeah.
And so then I explain how I modify exercises. And, I really approach, obviously I go in every session and I have plans, but I'm not the expert on the client's body. They are. They know what feels good. They know what doesn't feel good. And so I'm always open to modify. And so I always say, look, if an exercise doesn't feel right, tell me, explain to me, and I'll figure something else out. I'm also a big fan of, you should always have 3 variations. So a lot of times what I'll do is let's just take a burpee, right? So you could go burpee straight to the floor. You could do a burpee on an elevated bench. You could take the jumps out, walk it back. I'll give 3 variations. I go, okay, pick one.
Yeah.
First round, they'll normally pick the easier option. I go, you know what, that was too easy. Second time they'll pick, let me try the moderate. And then by the third, they go, you know what, I could actually do the full one. Yeah. But I ease them into it, right? And I made them feel like, hey, this is a partnership, right? To me, that is the best approach. That's the approach that works. And then after that first session, they leave going, oh, okay, she's not going to make me do anything where I feel like I'm going to be sick or I feel like I might hurt myself or, right, we're going to find your level. And normally they're more capable than they think. But sometimes experiences like this, where they were forced to do 25 burpees in their first ever fitness class, and I have had a client who threw up from doing that in her first class, Of course they,
that's right.
and then have a negative relationship with exercise, and they go,
story.
well, movement is punishment. Movement can be joyful, right? If you find the right way to move for you in this, also in this moment, right?
Right.
Sometimes too, I always have mobility sessions as a backup. That way, okay, you're really tired, you had a long week, you're feeling run down. I train women, it's the first day of your period, you're not feeling great. All right, still come, still keep the habit, keep the consistency. We're going to do mobility flow.
Right.
You still moved, right?
Right.
Maybe today wasn't the day to lift heavy. That's okay.
Gotcha.
We'll lift heavy next week. But you still move. You still kept your appointment, you kept your habit, and you feel better when you leave. That's my approach, I guess.
That is phenomenal. That's a great way to approach things.